Which players do I feel we can bet on playing better in the upcoming weeks, and especially this week's game for the Chicago Bears? We'll talk about that. Plus, some of the players that have disappointed me so far over the early part of the season. We're getting into all that, plus reasons for hope and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host here, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform that we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today. So I want to start this off on a positive. I want to talk about some of the players who I feel are starting to play better, and I do think that we can bet on to help start digging the Bears out of this hole that we've been in, especially offensively, but even defensively. I want to point out just some of the players that are really standing out the most to me. It's not a complete list, but it's just some of the players that I think you should look out for to have big games this upcoming week for the Bears. And, let's hope that happens. The Bears can use players to have big games. We need some big nights. We need to get some players in rhythm, things like that, especially when you look at us playing, that we're up against the Los Angeles Rams coming into next week, which the Rams, they're 1-2 as well on the start of the season, and their defense isn't quite the best, and they're also susceptible on the offensive side of the ball, right? So the first player that I'm going to list here, especially because it's part of the one of the aspects of the offense that we're definitely trying to get going, and that's Roschon Johnson. Yeah, Roschon Johnson has been basically one game for him so far, carrying the ball eight times for 30 yards and adding 32 yards in the air as well. And Roschon Johnson is a player that, he's showing that he can be productive. And I think what you've seen with the Bears offense so far, we're not having success running it on the outside. We're just not. Roschon Johnson is the type of player that it can be a bruiser, that can run up the middle for you, that seemingly is going to get yards as long as you give him the opportunity. I'm not saying as of right now, Roschon Johnson should take over as the starting running back, not saying that. But I think that with what that we've seen, he definitely has shown, put me on the field more, give me an opportunity to make some plays, and let's see what comes about it. When you also look at the way that he's able to pass block and how good he was as a pass blocker against the Colts, Roschon Johnson is important. And I think that, if Roschon continues to, go on an upward trajectory, right? Like I said, I'm not saying throw him out there as a starter, jettison out DeAndre Swift or anything yet, right? But I'm saying if you get more data and with more opportunity, he continues to show you that he can, get some yards for you and be productive. I think Roschon Johnson is shaped up maybe to start being a bigger and bigger part, playing more and more of the snaps as well for under Shane Waldron. And that was something that we saw last year under Luke Getsy. By the end of the season, Roschon Johnson was playing more snaps than either of the running backs that we had in Deontay Foreman or Khalil Herbert. So Roschon has shown an ability to do some things. And DeAndre Swift is going to continue to be the lead back for now. I know that is not what every Bears fan will want to see. But Roschon Johnson, I think definitely in the next few games and stuff, especially against opponents and what they've given up on the ground, has an opportunity to show and prove that he deserves to be a larger part and play a larger part of the snaps. Next up is Rome Odunze seems to be getting his stride right now, and that's what you want to see. 6 catches for 112 yards and a touchdown, the first touchdown connection between him and Caleb Williams. They both progressed last week. And that's not to say everything was perfect for Caleb, but both those guys progressed. And as that chemistry is forming and developing, you want to double down on that. I'm going to bet on that, right? They connected a lot in that last game, so it seems like that's something that maybe is starting to become a safe zone for Caleb Williams. And so I expect that Rome Odunze is going to continue to have, especially while Keenan Allen still see what's going on with that. He's playing number 2 right now. And, they said it coming into the season. Roschon Johnson should not plan on being a number 2 for long, right? He should have a desire to be more. And he's showing right now that, listen, the production is going in the right direction for Rome Odunze. I think with his speed, his size, the combination that he has of both, him and Caleb Williams connecting and, like I said, building in some of that chemistry. Matter of fact, most of the times that Caleb Williams did connect down the field, it's to Rome Odunze. So I think he's a safe bet right now as well to be a player that really steps up big time for the Chicago Bears. And as we go forward and get closer and closer to the bye week and get this offense looking more like we want it to look, he's definitely one, as well as the next guy that I'm going to mention, and that's Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet, listen, I'm glad that Shane Waldron finally realized you have a weapon in Cole Kmet, use him. That's what it comes down to. You have a weapon. The white rhino is what we call him here. And I've seen some other Bears outlets still that started here at Chicago Bears Central. C-Dub started calling him that. But the white rhino in Cole Kmet played just like that. Like he's so hard when you catch him in the right stride and things to stop and to get down. Cole Kmet is super productive, and he's shown it over the course of his NFL career. You rely on him, he's going to get you production. You can get him the ball, he's going to get you production. And so, I'm really encouraged by the last game and how Shane Waldron finally seemed like he realized Cole Kmet is a damn weapon out there. Go and use him, get him the targets, try to get the ball to him. It makes the game easier on Caleb Williams as well. You look at Cole Kmet in that last game, 11 targets, tied for the second most with Rome Odunze. That is because a tight end can be a rookie quarterback's best friend. 97 yards, 1 touchdown. The longest reception he had was 19 yards. He worked. And you need to put the ball in a player like Cole Kmet's hands. So when it comes down to the offensive side of the ball, the 3 players that I think that have big games next week and to be on the lookout for as this offense is improving, Rome Odunze, Cole Kmet, Roschon Johnson. Let's find a way to use these guys. And if you utilize them in the correct method, I think your offense can start getting on track somewhat. Again, like I've said multiple times, there's only so much fixing I think is going to be done with the O-line during the season. A lot of it is where we're going to be stuck at. But I think those guys can help turn those things around for you big time. Now, I have one defensive player on this list, and that's Tremaine Edmunds. Tremaine Edmunds is coming off his best game of the season. 5 tackles, 1 QB hit, 2 pass breakups, and an interception. And when you also look at it, he's having the second highest PFF grade of his NFL career. Again, PFF grades aren't everything, but it is something definitely to look out for as well. And as well, when we got Tremaine Edmunds, one thing that we hoped is that he would be a really good linebacker in coverage for this team. So far, he's allowing a passer rating of 36.6, only giving up 6 air yards on 6 completions so far on the season. Tremaine Edmunds is hitting the stride, and how has this season kind of started off a little rocky last season, understandably so. He had an injury as well. Tremaine Edmunds is really being everything that we need him to be so far for on this young season as well, and that's why the defense overall has been excellent. And I think that goes without saying. When you look at some of the things that have been going right for this team, absolutely you look at that defense, right? The defense overall has just been really freaking outstanding, and I love seeing the way that this defense is played. And the secondary has been legitimate. Like, the secondary has been, I told you guys, coming into the season, the secondary is one of the most important groups that I was looking for. And the secondary's done just about everything. Yeah, they've had some moments where they've given up some plays. Like I said, we can't act like you have to be perfect to be great. You don't have to. That's what this team has been. This defense has literally been great. And then you look at getting pressure. So far, on the season, we have 7 sacks, and that's an average of 2.3 sacks per game. Last year, the Bears only averaged 1.76 sacks per game. The Bears are stepping up in the areas that we need them to. The pressure rate is up from 18% last year, which was 26%, to 25.3%, which is the 5th best in the NFL. And we're doing it while blitzing 8% less. We went down from 22% blitzes to 14% blitzes. This defense is getting to the quarterback without needing to call blitz all the time. They're being really productive in the things that we hope for. Yes, we don't have necessarily the sack number. If you're expecting that at the early of the season, we'll see how it goes. But this team has been excellent in what it's done so far, and in how it's executed the game of football. That is why you need to get this offense together. But I know I have only one player listed as my player to watch, and that's because this defense has been everything that we could possibly want it to be. Again, in being reasonable, right? So throughout this, I got a player as well on the defensive side that's been disappointing a little bit just per the number production, which we'll talk about when we get to players that have disappointed me so far on this young Bear season. But keep in mind, the Bears finished super hot last year, right? We started off 0-4 and finished with a 7-10 record. This team has more talent than that. And while the offensive line is still the Bears' offensive line, the same issues, there's a lot of reason to think that the Bears can finish the season a lot stronger and earlier, right? Especially after that bye week. They just need, I would say, get to be at 500 by the bye week. That at the very minimum, be at 500 by the bye week. If you can be over that, great. But I really think this Bears best play is going to come later in the season, like we saw last season. And I'm not saying that that's a perfect world or what I would want to see. No, I would want to see the Bears kill it all season long. But there's still a lot of reason to think that the best is yet to come from this Bears team. And we'll see how we're going to get there and how we're going to continue executing. But this defense overall has just been outstanding. But with that said, players who have been underwhelming so far in the season for the Chicago Bears, man, we got to talk about it. And I hate listing one of these guys here, but I'm going to, and that's Darnell Wright. Darnell Wright so far has allowed 3 sacks and 9 pressures in the past 2 weeks. 3 sacks and 9 pressures in the past 2 weeks. And we talked about it on our live last night as well. I think that was last night. All the days are starting to blend together. Is that Darnell Wright, as of right now, has regressed. I mean, that's just it. Now, I don't expect it to continue for the full season. You also have to look at just how bad the play has been up and down that offensive line. Braxton Jones, as I was concerned about when people were telling me I was being too harsh on Braxton Jones seems to have hit his ceiling. This is who Braxton Jones is going to be. I'm sorry, until I see otherwise, that's what I believe. Coleman Shelton has absolutely struggled since the start of the season. And then the play at the right guard has been shitty. But Darnell Wright, like you want him to be, him and Tevin should be the guys that we're really looking at as being some stability on that offensive line. And we just haven't seen it yet. And if you go and look at the All-22 and look at Darnell Wright specifically, you'll see he's missed some big assignments in the run game. And especially maintaining blocks into that second level as well. That's been something that we have not seen from him really this season at any consistent rate. And so Darnell Wright has definitely so far regressed. I still think he's going to be good overall. I think Darnell Wright is going to be right for the long run. I think he's going to be good there, right? But yeah, I'd be remiss not to say that Darnell Wright has not disappointed somewhat to start the season, especially when you look at how strong he finished last season. He's definitely disappointed. And you got to look at, listen, Kieran Amagaje's in the wing. I'm not talking about to replace Darnell Wright, but like these offensive linemen got to be prepared that if this play keeps on and it keeps being this bad, eventually they're going to have to try something different. And so we'll see if that benefits Darnell Wright. But Darnell Wright, I need Darnell. I need Tevin. I need these guys to step up. As soon as next game. I need them to step up immediately because Darnell Wright was a draft pick in the first round. We need you to be good, my boy. That's not a question. We need Darnell Wright to be good. We can talk about moving on from Coleman Shelton. We can talk about moving on from Ryan Bates if he can't stay healthy. We can talk about that. But Darnell Wright is the guy who was supposed to be a guy who's here, supposed to be one of the guys you can build around on this offensive line. And so far, again, I want to keep giving the caveat and the qualifier. I'm only talking about so far. I'm not saying that this can't change very soon, but so far, it's been a disappointment. And then the next player that I'm going to talk about that may surprise some people is TJ Edwards. TJ Edwards, who started off this season so solidly. And, I still think he's going to probably put together a Pro Bowl season. But at the end of the day, man, two tackles in last game, only one solo tackle. And the PFF grade was the worst on the team. At 29.9. And PFF grades aren't everything, but we know that TJ Edwards is capable of more. And TJ Edwards has had some bad games in prior years. He's had bad games, and he's bounced back pretty well for him. I need TJ Edwards to bounce back, but I've been a little bit disappointed by TJ Edwards, especially in that last game. And I know he can be so much better than that. I know he has a lot more in the tank to bring. So TJ Edwards is definitely one of the guys on my list that has disappointed me. But again, everything that I'm throwing out with my knee jerk, anytime they hear something they don't like, Chicago Bears Central listeners, I'm saying so far. We're not done yet. The season, there's a lot of season left to be played. A lot of these, some of the players that I listed as being positive so far could turn into negatives and vice versa. But so far, TJ Edwards, he has a lot left. A lot that he needs to show, and that he's left on the table for. So that's another thing that we got to look at as well. We got to improve that. But I trust that TJ Edwards is going to improve it. And then last on this list of players that have absolutely 100% unequivocally disappointed me so far this season, DeAndre Swift. And I was in the comment section with somebody who was like, well, it's too early to blame DeAndre Swift or be disappointed by DeAndre Swift. Well, listen, this is so far, right? But no, so far DeAndre Swift has been a disappointment. And so far it looks like that signing, that money could have gone elsewhere. It just looks like that's the case. You could have put that on the offensive line. We had Roshan, we had Khalil, right? But when you look at it, 1.8 yards per carry, only 1 rushing first down. He has 68 rushing yards, and 20 of those came on 1 play. I'm sorry. There's no way that you can cut this up other than he's been disappointing as hell. And keep in mind, a lot of outlets had him as the Bears' worst signing. They did not like this signing, and I fought against that. I came and argued against that, looking at his numbers, looking at the production. But I got to give credit to those of you who said it and asked the question legitimately. How much of DeAndre Swift's career year last year was in part, not completely, because you still got to give him some credit, but in part due to the offensive line that he was playing behind. So far, we're seeing that. But again, you improve the offensive line, you get better production out of DeAndre Swift. Yes, right now, this deal is looking like a deal we should have allocated that money elsewhere by the nature of where this team is. But maybe DeAndre Swift starts playing better. Maybe if the Bears do better at establishing the run up the middle with the Roshan, maybe DeAndre Swift can be used better in the passing game, things like that. He still is a weapon, and he still is one that I think that we need to find a way to get the ball in his hands, absolutely. But how in the way that you go about that, that's a big test as well. So let's hope that that's the case, man. Let's hope that this starts improving for the Chicago Bears. And one of the ways that things can start looking better for the Bears is improving the offensive line. And the last topic that we have today is that the Bears were hosting tryouts for offensive linemen. And the Bears understand this is a serious thing that the Bears need to shore up this offensive line. So, we'll see what happens there when it comes down to it. But, the Bears reportedly, Tremaine Archram Jr. Is the guy that they plan on bringing in. He was a 7th round pick in the 2020 draft by the Los Angeles Rams, who played 31 games with the Rams from 20 to 2023 and started for them in 2022. So he's a guy who has championships in college. He's a decorated guy there, and we'll see. So he's the guy that they brought in to the tryouts. The other guy is Austin Pleasance. This is an offensive lineman as well. Multiple positions that he can play here. He spent some time on a practice squad last year. He played at Ohio State, so shout out to OSU there. He's played with the Jacksonville Jaguars in 2020-21, the Carolina Panthers in 21-22 as well. He played with the Los Angeles Chargers in 2022 and 23, and the Cardinals in 2023 and 24. So yeah, he plays a lot of guard, but he can play multiple positions. And Pro Football lists him as 6'7", 330 pounds, and he was second-team All-MAC in 2019. So that's another guy that they've brought in as far as on the offensive lineman side of things. So they also work out some running backs, a quarterback as well, which has led some speculation there. But the Bears seem to be trying to find some depth on that O-line. Maybe they get lucky. Maybe they bring in somebody that works with this team kind of better than what we do. But right now, the offensive line is kind of the focus, and it's going to be the thing that draws a lot of the questions and everything right now. And the Bears listen, things aren't looking good for the Bears. When you look at us as far as NFL.com has us ranked 24th in their power rankings. Fair. USA Today has us ranked 26th in their power rankings. All right. ESPN also has us ranked as 26th in their power rankings. The Athletic as 26th in the power. The Bears are at the bottom of the league. And that is not because of our defense. That is because of our offense. And it's really up to this coaching staff to either find a better scheme, better way to work with what you have, or it's up to Ryan Poles to find something. And so, listen, Ryan Poles deserves to be under some pressure. My boy Pat, the designer over there at the Windy City Breeze, pointed out the fact that where right now it's Ryan Poles' fault for where the Bears are because of how he decided to build the team. He built it a little backwards. And this is something that we knew. This is something that we had told you about, right? If you're a consistent listener to Chicago Bears Central, it shouldn't be anything new to you to hear that. But Ryan Poles, yeah, he built the team backwards, but in a non-traditional way of how most franchises would have built their team out. But now the Bears are in this spot where they got to figure it out. That just is what it is. The Bears have to figure this out. And I know that's something I've been saying a lot. Also, admittedly, like I've said multiple times, I don't know how much fixing is going to be done. Listen, the Bears are hosting tryouts. It's expensive to trade for offensive linemen right now. So, Ryan Poles, the question that we have for him right now is the way that he evaluates offensive line talent. You got to be better at it. And I think that when you look at the Bears leading into that bye week, the Bears' next 3 games are going to tell the Bears a lot about what they need to do. And I do think it could force Ryan Poles his hand and maybe make a deal that otherwise maybe he would have wanted to wait in the offseason to address a position. But we got 3 weeks before the bye week. We got the Los Angeles Rams, the Carolina Panthers, and the Jacksonville Jaguars, and that game's over. So hopefully the Bears can figure it out. If not, week 7. I've said that's where I want to see the offensive line the offense get in rhythm, but it may force Ryan Poles to get to work. Let's see what happens there. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you guys are following the show at Shy Bears Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, chicagobearscentral@gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related, and that's thanks to you guys. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.